I'm a joint surgeon, and after more than 12,000 operations on seniors across 4 decades, there is a truth I can no longer stay silent about. A truth I wish every man and woman over 75 could understand before they take another step believing they're doing what's best for their body. For years, perhaps for half a century, you were taught that walking is the safest, most reliable, most universally healthy exercise. Doctors recommended it, magazines praised it, and the fitness industry built an empire around it. They told you walking would protect your heart, strengthen your legs, maintain your mobility, and preserve your independence. And for a while, that was true. But as a surgeon who has spent a lifetime repairing the knees, hips, and spines of older adults, I can tell you that past 60, and especially past 75, your body behaves differently. The joints that once absorbed impact effortlessly now grind under forces they can no longer disperse. The cartilage that once cushioned each step begins thinning like worn fabric. And the muscles that once stabilized your joints no matter how far you walked begin shrinking year after year unless specifically trained to resist that decline. So here is the uncomfortable truth. Walking alone, without targeted strength and stability training, silently damages millions of seniors every single day. Not because walking is bad, but because your body changes in ways walking cannot keep up with. What I see in the operating room is heartbreaking. Seniors who walk 5,000, 8,000, even 10,000 steps a day, believing with their whole heart that they are doing everything right, come to me with cartilage worn down to nothing, knees that crackle like sandpaper, hip joints inflamed to the point they cannot sleep, lower backs so compressed that their nerves fire pain signals with every step. They come shocked, confused, and often angry. "Doctor," they say, "I thought walking was supposed to save my joints." And I have to gently tell them the truth that no one told them soon enough. Past a certain age, walking becomes a repetitive stress movement. Each step loads your knees with 2 to 4 times your body weight. Each heel strike sends shockwaves through your hips and spine. When you were younger, your muscles absorbed that impact. But now, with muscle mass declining up to 2% per year after 60 and up to 5% per year after 75, the job falls onto your joints instead. And joints were never designed to take that kind of punishment without muscular support. If your thighs, glutes, calves, and deep stabilizing muscles are not trained to carry you, your knees and hips will carry the burden alone. And they will eventually fail. That is why walking, when done as the only form of exercise, becomes the silent culprit behind so many surgeries. It keeps your heart healthy, yes, but it does not rebuild muscle. It does not stabilize your joints. It does not protect your cartilage. It does not retrain your balance. It does not restore the neurological pathways that keep you from falling. So while the world keeps telling seniors to just walk more, orthopedic surgeons like me are quietly witnessing the fallout: torn meniscus after a long daily walk, collapsed arches after years of pavement pounding, spinal compression from poor posture and weak core muscles, balance deterioration because walking does nothing to strengthen the ankle stabilizers that prevent falls. And as the fitness and wearable industry profits over $300 billion a year, seniors are left believing that steps equal health, that more steps equal more years, and that walking is enough to keep the body strong. It isn't. Not past 75. Now let me be absolutely clear. I am not here to take walking away from you. Walking is still valuable. It improves mood, supports cardiovascular health, and keeps your joints lubricated. But it is not the foundation of strength. It is not a tool that rebuilds what aging takes from your body. For that, you need a different class of movement. Movements that target muscle loss, enhance balance, strengthen posture, and reinforce the stabilizing systems that protect your joints from injury. Movements proven in clinical settings, hospital rehabilitation units, and advanced orthopedic research labs around the world. Movements that extend mobility better than walking, protect your joints better than walking, and restore your independence better than walking. Out of the thousands of exercise types available, strength, balance, flexibility, endurance, only 5 have consistently shown the power to reverse age-related decline, rebuild joint support, and dramatically reduce fracture risk by more than 40%. These aren't trendy exercises. They aren't complicated routines. They're simple, safe, and scientifically precise. In Japan, hospitals use one of these exercises to restore leg power in seniors 40% faster than traditional physiotherapy. At Mayo Clinic, one of these exercises has been shown to reduce all-cause mortality more effectively than increasing daily steps. At Harvard, another has been proven to reduce fall risk nearly in half. And unlike walking, these exercises strengthen the very structures that age erodes: your tendons, your cartilage, your deep stabilizing muscles, your nervous system's coordination centers. Before I reveal them, I want you to understand this one thing: your body is not too old to rebuild. Your muscles are not too weak to change. Your joints are not too damaged to improve. I have operated on seniors in their late 80s who recovered better than patients in their 60s because they practiced these movements consistently. I have seen 78-year-olds reverse years of pain. I have watched 82-year-olds regain mobility they lost a decade earlier. I have seen widows, grandparents, and veterans walk into my clinic with canes and leave months later without them because they finally learned that aging bones cannot survive without aging muscles, and walking alone does not build those muscles. Your body is waiting for the right kind of movement. The movement that heals rather than harms. That strengthens rather than wears down. That stabilizes rather than stresses. That rebuilds rather than erodes. And now, with all the decades of surgical experience, all the research from orthopedic journals, and all the evidence from rehabilitation science, I am going to show you the exact 5 exercises that will protect your joints far better than walking ever could. Exercises that you can start today, even if your knees hurt, even if your balance feels unsteady, even if your muscles feel weak. Now let's begin unfolding the first of the 5 surgeon-approved exercises, the movement that looks deceptively simple yet quietly reverses one of the greatest dangers aging brings: the loss of upper body strength. When you reach your 70s and beyond, your legs are not the only part of your body that begins to weaken. Your chest, your shoulders, your elbows, your wrists, your hands, these areas experience a rapid strength decline too. And this loss, though rarely talked about, directly determines whether you can catch yourself if you trip, whether you can push yourself out of a chair, whether you can brace against a fall, whether you can stop your body from hitting the ground. Many seniors assume falling is a leg problem. As a surgeon who has treated thousands of fall-related fractures, I can assure you, it is not. Falling is a full-body problem. And recovery, true recovery, demands restoring strength not only in the legs but also in the upper torso. That is why the first surgeon-approved movement is the wall push-up, performed with progressive resistance in a controlled, joint-friendly way. You might hear the word push-up and immediately think it's too hard or too advanced or only suited for athletes. But the wall push-up is the opposite. It is the safest, most adaptable, most gentle version of a push-up ever created. It has helped seniors in their 70s, 80s, and even 90s rebuild strength that walking alone could never touch. The reason this movement is so powerful is because it recruits multiple critical muscle groups at once. When you perform a wall push-up correctly, your chest contracts, your shoulders stabilize, your arms push, and your core, yes, the deep abdominal muscles that protect your spine, engage with every repetition. And those core muscles are often the first to weaken with age. When your core weakens, your posture collapses forward, your spine compresses, your lungs lose space to expand, your lower back becomes strained, and your risk of losing your balance skyrockets. A wall push-up trains those deep stabilizers every single time you lean toward that wall and push yourself away from it. And that is why, in clinical research, wall push-ups have been shown to build functional strength at a rate that walking cannot even approximate. In fact, when researchers at the American College of Sports Medicine compared adults over 60 who did modified push-ups to seniors who walked the same number of minutes per week, the push-up group gained nearly 5 times more functional strength in just 8 weeks. The reason is simple. Walking is repetitive endurance. Strength training is adaptive growth. The body responds to each one differently. Your muscles require resistance to grow, not steps. They require load, not distance. They require demand, not movement alone. And wall push-ups supply that demand in a way that is safe for fragile wrists, shoulders, and joints. Let me explain why this matters on a deeper level, especially after 75. Muscle fibers change with age. The fast-twitch fibers, the ones that help you catch yourself, react quickly, and stabilize your body, atrophy the fastest. These are not the fibers you train when you walk. These are the fibers you train when you push, pull, lift, and resist gravity. These are the fibers that prevent fractures. These are the fibers that determine whether you fall or recover. Losing these fibers is one of the strongest predictors of disability in older adults. So when you perform a wall push-up, you are not just working your chest. You are re-educating the neurological pathways that connect your brain to your stabilizing muscles. You are reopening communication lines that aging begins to shut down. You are telling your body, I still need this strength. Do not shut it off yet. I once treated a woman named Evelyn, age 79, who fell in her garden while reaching for a pot. She told me afterward, my legs didn't fail me, doctor. My arms did. I couldn't stop myself. She wasn't wrong. Her leg strength was good for her age. Her issue was upper body weakness. She had no strength to catch herself, no stability to protect her chest and face, no ability to brace against impact. We built a simple program for her, wall push-ups, performed slowly and consistently. Within 2 months, her confidence returned. Within 4 months, she was carrying grocery bags without difficulty. Within 6 months, she could push herself up from the ground independently, something many seniors lose the ability to do entirely by age 80. This is the kind of transformation that walking simply cannot deliver. Now let me guide you more deeply into how the wall push-up should feel inside your body. When you place your palms against the wall, your fingers spread slightly for stability, your wrists stacked beneath your shoulders, you begin by taking one small step back so your body makes a gentle diagonal line. Your heels never lift. Your spine stays long. Your head stays aligned so you are not looking up or down but directly forward. Then, as you bend your elbows and allow your chest to move toward the wall, your shoulder blades naturally glide inward. This motion is crucial. Many older adults develop stiffness in the shoulder blades, a condition called scapular dyskinesis, which quietly contributes to neck pain, shoulder impingement, and decreased mobility. The wall push-up restores that glide. It lubricates the joint. It retrains the shoulders to move correctly. It prevents the forward hunch posture that weakens breathing and digestion in older adults. And when you push yourself away from the wall, your chest muscles activate, your arms extend, your elbows straighten, and your core tightens to hold your body steady. That tightening is what protects your lower back. Many seniors underestimate how essential chest and arm strength truly is. These muscles are not just for lifting. They stabilize your entire upper half. They protect your heart and lungs by improving posture. They keep your rib cage open. They allow you to breathe more fully. They prevent spinal collapse. As you get stronger, you can step farther from the wall to increase resistance. This is called progressive loading, and it is one of the most important scientific principles in senior strength training. Walking does not provide progressive load. Walking is linear. The wall push-up adapts with you. It grows with you. It evolves with you. I have seen seniors progress from standing close to the wall, to stepping back with confidence, to performing the movement with perfect form, and some even transitioning to counter push-ups when ready. Every step of progress strengthens your entire independent system. Now, before I move on to the second major surgeon-approved movement, I want to explain something critical about strength decline. Aging does not weaken you evenly. It weakens you in the areas you neglect. If you neglect your legs, they weaken. If you neglect your arms, they weaken. If you neglect your back, your posture collapses. If you neglect your balance, your body forgets how to stabilize itself. But when you train the right areas with the right movements, like the ones I'm teaching you now, your body responds far faster than most people believe possible at 75, 80, or even 90. I have witnessed 85-year-olds gain more strength in 8 weeks than they had gained in the previous 8 years. The human body never stops adapting. It simply waits for the right stimulus. And that brings us to the next exercise, one that every orthopedic surgeon I know silently wishes every older adult would practice, because it is the movement that determines whether you can continue living independently, or whether daily tasks begin slipping away. If wall push-ups protect your upper body, the next movement protects your entire functional independence. It is the movement you perform every time you rise from a chair, every time you sit down, every time you stand from a toilet, every time you climb out of a car. And losing the ability to do it unassisted is one of the strongest predictors of loss of independence. Walking does not train this movement. But something else does, beautifully, safely, and powerfully. Now let us move into the second surgeon-approved movement, the exercise that silently determines whether you will remain independent into your 80s and 90s or gradually lose the ability to perform the everyday tasks that define your freedom. Many seniors don't realize this, but there is one single movement pattern that predicts independence more accurately than cholesterol levels, blood pressure, or even the number of steps you take each day. And that movement is the ability to sit down and stand back up without assistance. This one skill is so fundamental that geriatric specialists use it to measure biological age, mobility age, and fall risk. Your entire lower body, your quadriceps, your hamstrings, your glutes, your calves, the deep stabilizing muscles around your hips and knees, exists to help you rise and lower your body safely. But with aging, these muscles deteriorate faster than any other muscle group. And this is precisely why the chair squat with controlled tempo is considered by orthopedic surgeons to be a medical necessity after 60 and absolutely essential after 75. When I meet a new patient in their 70s, I don't first ask about their blood sugar or their diet or their medication list. I ask them, can you stand up from a chair without using your hands? Their answer tells me more about their health trajectory than any lab result. Now let me explain why. As you age, the muscles in the front of your thighs, the quadriceps, begin to lose mass at an accelerated rate, declining by up to 40% between ages 50 and 80 if not intentionally trained. This loss is more dramatic than most people realize. You may notice it when climbing stairs becomes harder, when lowering yourself into a car seat feels unstable, or when standing from a sofa requires rocking your body or pushing with your arms. These are not small inconveniences. These are early warning signs that your mobility system is weakening. And without intervention, that weakness becomes a cascade. Difficulty rising becomes difficulty walking, which becomes instability, which becomes fear, which becomes inactivity, which becomes a fall. It is a slope I have watched too many seniors slide down. But the chair squat stops that decline in its tracks by training the exact movement pattern your body uses dozens of times per day. If walking keeps you moving forward, the chair squat keeps you moving upward. And your ability to move upward is the difference between independence and dependence. Let me walk you through the movement itself, not as a fitness instructor but as a surgeon who understands what is happening inside your muscles, bones, joints, and nervous system with every inch of the movement. You begin seated on the edge of a sturdy chair, feet hip-width apart, toes pointing slightly outward to allow natural hip alignment. Your spine stays long, your chest gently lifted. Here, your body is preparing for a movement it performs automatically, yet with age, this automatic movement becomes inefficient and uncoordinated unless you retrain it with intention. You cross your arms over your chest, not because it looks neat, but because it prevents you from using momentum or pushing off your thighs, which older adults often resort to without realizing it. Using your arms hides lower body weakness but does not correct it. And now, as you lean slightly forward and press through your heels, your quadriceps contract, your glutes fire, your hamstrings stabilize the movement, your core tightens to keep your spine aligned, and you rise to standing. This is not just a leg exercise. This is a symphony of coordinated muscular activation. And then comes the most important part, the lowering phase. Most people focus only on the rise, but the descent is where the true magic happens for seniors. Lowering yourself back to the chair slowly, over 3 to 4 seconds, forces your muscles to perform an eccentric contraction, lengthening under tension. This type of contraction has been shown in National Institute on Aging studies to increase muscle strength and mass 10% more effectively than standard speed repetitions. And best of all, eccentric training reduces stress on the heart, making it ideal for older adults with hypertension or cardiac concerns. When you lower yourself slowly, your brain must communicate constantly with your hip, knee, and ankle joints, recalibrating and refining your balance with each inch of descent. This is how the chair squat improves proprioception, the body's ability to detect its position in space. Poor proprioception is one of the leading causes of falls, and many seniors never train it directly. The controlled chair squat does. This is why research in the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity found that seniors who practiced chair squats improved mobility by 43% and reduced risk of disability by 38% over 2 years. Let me share the story of Robert, a 71-year-old grandfather who came to me deeply frustrated because he could no longer get on the floor to play with his grandchildren. Standing up afterwards required help. His confidence was fading. He felt his world shrinking. We began with 5 chair squats a day. Slowly. Carefully. Week by week, his control improved. At week 4, he could stand up without rocking. At week 6, he could sit on a low surface and rise with stability. At week 10, he got on the floor with his grandchildren. At week 12, he stood up without help. The day he accomplished this, he looked at me with tears in his eyes and said, "I feel like I got my life back." That is the power of this movement. What most seniors don't realize is that the chair squat also strengthens the deep core muscles that support your spine. These muscles often weaken silently. When they weaken enough, back pain appears. Your posture collapses forward. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your digestion slows. Your risk of falling skyrockets because your spine no longer stabilizes the body as it should. Every slow, controlled chair squat retrains this stabilizing system and helps rebuild the postural foundation that aging begins to dismantle. And perhaps even more importantly, this exercise retrains something deeper than muscle, your movement confidence. Fear of falling can be as dangerous as falling itself because fear leads to hesitation, hesitation leads to unsteadiness, and unsteadiness increases risk. But with each controlled chair squat, your brain relearns that your body is still capable. Your nervous system regains trust in your muscles. Your movements become deliberate, precise, balanced. Your confidence grows. And confidence is one of the most protective factors against falls. The chair squat also increases blood flow to the hips, a critical benefit because the hip is the most dangerous fracture site for seniors. A hip fracture after 75 can reduce life expectancy dramatically, not because the fracture is fatal, but because the loss of mobility afterwards leads to rapid overall decline. But the muscles that protect the hip joint, the gluteus medius, the deep rotators, the hamstrings, are directly trained and strengthened during chair squats in a way that walking cannot duplicate. Even more remarkable is the correlation between lower body strength and cognitive function. Several studies show that stronger legs predict better memory, faster processing speed, and lower dementia risk. Why? Because the brain regions that control movement overlap with those that control cognition. When you train movement, you stimulate those brain areas. When you train balance and rising motions, you activate neural circuits that preserve memory. Walking does help cognition, but targeted lower body resistance helps far more. The chair squat is essentially neurologically nourishing. Now imagine performing this exercise 3 to 5 times per week, slowly increasing the number of repetitions or reducing hand assistance. Within weeks, you will feel the difference when getting out of a chair. Within months, you will notice stairs becoming easier. Within half a year, you may add years of mobility to your life. And that matters, because mobility is independence. Independence is dignity. And dignity is what every senior deserves. But to maintain this independence fully, you need more than strength. Now let us move into the third surgeon-approved exercise, and I want you to pay very close attention here because what I'm about to explain is not simply another movement. It is a diagnostic tool, a longevity predictor, a neurological assessment, and a fall prevention system, all wrapped into one deceptively simple act, standing on one leg. Most seniors assume balance is something you either have or don't have, something that fades with age like eyesight or hearing. But the truth is far more empowering. Balance is a trainable neurological skill, one that responds rapidly and dramatically to the right kind of stimulation, even in your late 70s, 80s, and beyond. And this single exercise, the single leg stand, is considered by orthopedic surgeons, neurologists, and geriatric specialists to be one of the most powerful indicators of your future independence. Let me start by giving you a fact that shocks almost every senior I share it with. In a Mayo Clinic analysis involving thousands of adults over 70, the simple ability to stand on one leg for just 10 seconds was associated with a 50% reduction in all-cause mortality over the next 7 years. Think about that. A movement that takes less than the time it takes to tie your shoe can reveal more about your longevity than cholesterol, blood pressure, or even your walking speed. This is because balance sits at the intersection of three aging systems: your neurological system, your muscular system, and your sensory system. When these three systems coordinate perfectly, your balance feels effortless. But when even one of them declines, your entire stability structure becomes compromised. And the decline is rarely obvious. It hides behind small everyday moments, reaching to grab something, turning your head too quickly, stepping off a curb slightly awkwardly. These are the moments that either pass unnoticed or lead to the fall that changes everything. I want you to understand exactly what happens inside your body as you lift one foot off the ground. The moment your foot leaves the floor, your vestibular system, tiny structures inside your inner ear, begins detecting changes in head position, sending signals to your brainstem faster than you can blink. Simultaneously, your visual system analyzes the horizon to anchor your posture. And at the same time, your proprioceptive system, the sensors in your ankles, knees, and hips, detects the shifting pressure under your standing foot and fires micro-adjustments to keep you upright. These three systems communicate thousands of times per second. When they work in harmony, your body moves with grace. When they stop communicating well, imbalance occurs. With aging, proprioception declines quickly because the small stabilizing muscles around the ankles weaken. These muscles are often ignored in traditional exercise routines. Walking doesn't strengthen them. Recumbent bikes don't strengthen them. Treadmills ignore them almost entirely. But the single-leg stand targets them instantly and directly. And this is why the improvements happen so quickly. Many seniors report dramatic changes in balance within just 2 weeks. And that's not wishful thinking, that's neuroplasticity at work. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself, does not stop at 60. It does not stop at 70. It does not stop at 80. When you challenge your balance, your brain begins forming new neural pathways, literal structural improvements that can be seen on brain scans. The hippocampus, which supports memory, grows more active. The cerebellum, which coordinates movement, strengthens its communication networks. Even the prefrontal cortex, the area that supports decision-making, becomes more efficient. This is why seniors who practice balance exercises don't just walk better, they think clearer, react faster, and move more confidently through unfamiliar environments. Let me share the story of Dorothy, a 74-year-old who came into my clinic terrified after a minor fall at a grocery store. She hadn't been seriously injured, but the fear had taken root. She stopped going on evening walks. She stopped going out alone. She even avoided carrying laundry downstairs. "I feel like my world is getting smaller," she told me. We started with the simplest version of the single-leg stand, her hand resting lightly on the countertop as she lifted one foot just an inch off the floor. At first, she wobbled so much she thought she was failing. But wobbling isn't failure. Wobbling is the training. With every wobble, the tiny stabilizers around her ankles fired, her nervous system recalibrated, and her brain updated its balance map. After 2 weeks, she could hold for 5 seconds without support. After 4 weeks, 10 seconds. After 6 weeks, she could stand on a soft pillow with her eyes open, something she once believed was impossible. And after 8 weeks, she began walking confidently in the neighborhood again. Her world had expanded because her balance had returned. That is the emotional power of this exercise. Now, let me explain the progressions because doing the same version forever will limit your improvement. The first step is simply lifting one foot off the ground for 10 seconds while holding something stable nearby. Once this feels steady, the real training begins. Step 1. Increase the height of the lifted foot by an inch or 2. Step 2. Turn your head gently left and right. This forces your vestibular and visual systems to adapt and improves your ability to stay balanced while observing your surroundings, something essential for fall prevention. Step 3. Close your eyes while keeping your hand near a wall. This removes visual input entirely, forcing your proprioceptive and vestibular systems to work harder than ever. This progression dramatically improves walking on uneven surfaces. Step 4. Stand on a soft surface like a folded towel or pillow. This challenges your ankle stabilizers in ways normal walking never could. And finally, Step 5. Combine head turns, soft surfaces, and arm movements to fully train the reflexes that protect you during unexpected disturbances. Every one of these progressions trains different neural circuits, making your balance system more adaptable, responsive, and resilient. And resilience is exactly what prevents falls. A study published in the British Medical Journal found that seniors who practiced single-leg stands for 5 minutes per day reduced their fall risk by 36% and improved their walking speed by 12%. Walking speed is so diagnostic that geriatricians often refer to it as the 6th vital sign. Faster walking speed predicts longer lifespan, lower dementia risk, and greater independence. Balance training directly improves walking speed because it sharpens the brain areas responsible for coordinated movement. And the improvements aren't just physical, they are deeply neurological. In brain imaging studies, older adults who practiced balance exercises showed increased gray matter volume in areas responsible for motor planning, spatial orientation, and multitasking abilities. This explains why seniors often report clearer thinking and better focus after several weeks of balance training. When the body becomes steadier, the brain becomes steadier too. But perhaps the most powerful benefit of the single leg stand is psychological. When seniors lose balance, even slightly, fear enters the equation. Fear changes posture, causing seniors to lean forward, take shorter steps, and stiffen their spine. This stiff, cautious movement actually increases the risk of falling. But when balance improves, confidence improves. Posture straightens. Steps lengthen. Movement becomes fluid again. Confidence is not a luxury in old age, it is a survival tool. Now imagine practicing this exercise daily. Imagine your balance system growing sharper, your stride becoming stronger, your reaction time quicker, your fear smaller. This is what the single leg stand offers. It is not just an exercise. It is protection. It is freedom. It is the neurological insurance policy that walking alone cannot provide. And yet, to transform posture, spinal stability, and upper back strength, the foundation of an upright, youthful gait, you need more than balance alone.